Hey, how's it going? This is Chris with Original Strength Institute Online, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips for a stronger push-up. So when you're thinking about push-ups and anything strength training wise, you want to think tension. Tension will create more strength. So with this, what we're going to work on is actually creating more tension in our back to help us be able to do a better push-up. So I want you to start off on your hands and knees. So this position right here. So just wrists under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Okay. Now from here, I want you to also make sure that your fingers are pointing straight ahead. There's a lot of people, there's different groups and camps on where your elbows should be when you're doing a push-up. And I was definitely in that camp of elbows should be no wider than 45 degrees. But really, what I think it really is important to do to think about when it comes to protecting your shoulders. So that's the thing, like people say, if your elbows are out really wide, that you have more of a chance of shoulder impingement, which is true, but I don't necessarily believe it's because of your elbows being out wide. I think it might be because your hands are too close with your elbows being out wide, and what happens is your fingers actually, you kind of wind up doing a push-up more like this. Now, if you're going to do a push-up with your hands this close together, then you want to bring your elbows in. But if you want to be out wider with your elbows and be at 90 degrees, that should be fine, but then your hands should go out wider. And a thing that you can think about while you're doing it is how your fingers are pointing. So if your fingers are pointing straight ahead, it should be relatively safe to be able in that push-up position. So I can even be out wide or anywhere in that 45 degree to 90 degree. If my fingers are turning in and kind of facing the inside instead of straight ahead, that's really where that probably the impingement is probably going to come from. So keep your fingers pointing straight. Again, doesn't matter where you want to be, 45 degrees, a little bit wider, or all the way out. But notice how my hands go out wider when I do that. Okay, so that's just another little bonus tip to think about while you're doing it. All right, so I'm set up on all fours, and there's a couple different ways that you can think about this. It all is going to try to at least give you the same result, and that is to create tension in your upper back and in your lats. And how we're going to do that is when we're here, we're either going to do, there's a couple ways to think about this. One, you can pretend like you have like these little screws coming out of your hand, and you're trying to screw them into the ground. All right, so you can just screw them in. Keep on doing that. So my elbows are kind of rotating in a little bit while I do that, but you can still do it out wide and still kind of screw them in and be here with that wider push up. Again, as long as my fingers aren't facing in, I should be fine. And as long as there's no other injury already there. All right, so if the screwing in, sometimes that doesn't really help for people. They don't kind of get that. So another thing that you can think about is pretend that you're holding a bar, like there's a bar going across that is right in the palm of your hands. And what you're trying to do is bend that bar. All right, so we're bending the bar. And what that's going to do is it's going to get everything firing. You should feel your lats fire, your upper back fire also. All right, so again, that's just going to create more tension. So you're strong, you have a stronger push up, and you kind of just don't collapse while you're doing it. All right, so now from here, if you want to then come up off your knees. Now the next tip is going to be to keep that tension that I've created is I'm going to pull myself down. So I'm going to pull myself down to the bottom of the push-up, and then keeping that tension, drive myself back up. All right, so I'm going to show you from the side. So I create that tension, I bend that bar, screw in my hands, whatever you want to think about. I'm going to come up, and now I'm going to pull myself down, drive back up. So by pulling myself down, by creating that tension and pulling myself down, what that will hopefully kind of help with is when you see people when they're going down on the push-up, they kind of sink into it like this. So notice my arms didn't bend, but I still kind of sunk down. So if you pull yourself down like you're doing a row, that should help with, again, you're bending the bar, so you're creating that tension in your back, so you're not here, you're creating that tension, and I'm going to pull like I'm doing a row down, drive back up. So I'm going to keep that tension that whole time. All right, so this is a quick little video. I hope those tips made sense. If not, just put something in the comments, and I can try to maybe make one that's a little more detailed to it. But this is just a general idea of what to do to help with getting your push-ups hopefully a little bit stronger. And let me know if it works. All right, if you are looking for some more tips, some workouts, go check out OSIonline.com. That is OSI-online.com.